If you think back to the moment you heard your first New Edition classic, you're probably going to get transported to a happy memory. And that is because music makes you feel good. There is proof now that music and sound also has the power to heal. Research from the British Academy of Sound suggests that in the future, a dosage of music could be prescribed for focus or for your mental health. The study found that 13 minutes of slow tempo music with no lyrics was best for relaxation and for concentration. 9 minutes of fast music with positive lyrics made people happier and more energetic. 13 minutes of music that contained lyrics people could connect with helped to ease sadness. Alternative methods of healing are growing in popularity, and that is the subject of a new podcast on Audible. Joining me now is the host of the new podcast, Psychedelic Frequency. It's Maejor. He's also a hip-hop recording artist and producer and just a brilliant, talented, creative, wonderful brother. Good to see you, King. Welcome to the Griot. Now, you are a musician. People waiting for the music, people waiting for you to do amazing creative stuff. They weren't expecting a podcast on psychedelics. What made you do this?
Absolutely. Well, to your point earlier, I was fascinated by the talks of Nikola Tesla, who talks about to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, as well as Albert Einstein, who said the future of medicine is frequencies. And someone who's working so far in music already, it's kind of struck my interest. And then going through my personal battle as a cancer survivor, I started to get exposed to all the ways from wellness helps us from a science and spiritual ways. And the things that really resonated with me were about music, sound, frequency, and vibration.
This is a method that I've heard talked about before, but I understandably, like a lot of people, haven't delved into because I thought it was too abstract. But I'm hearing you talk about it, and you're making it sound very real to me. Again, you've said you've used this method in your own life and your own experience. Talk to me about some of the benefits of it and why more of us should be thinking about it.
Absolutely. I felt the same way you did when I was first introduced. I was introduced to the more yoga spiritual community, and it seemed a little bit, to be honest, woo-woo for me. And then I started, but I did notice that I felt good when I used it. So I kept it kind of in the back of my mind, but I wasn't activating on it until I got introduced to my friend who's a scientist, and they talk about binaural beats, which are brainwaves, frequencies that can literally measurably change your brainwaves from gamma state to beta, measurably through an EEG. This is not like a woo-woo thing. So once I started recognizing that, I was like, wow, that's really cool. There's a frequency that can literally affect your brainwaves and change you to a state. And when we're stressed out, we're in high beta, which is the state that a lot of us live in. So I started to learn that these frequencies have a real effect on us. So for me, sleep, meditation, huge. It helps me really to just reach a state of stillness. And I call it sound healing because I believe that we all are capable of inner healing. We all have great healing, right? If we get a cut, there's millions of cells and minerals, and the process starts to happen for us to heal. So the sound can act as an extension, very intentional, to move us into these states which allow us to heal ourselves. And I believe we're just on the beginning of this, and I'm grateful for Audible and everyone to using this platform to support and begin to explore how we can use this as a collective.
That's so dope, man. There's some people watching this, though, because this is a black audience, and we are historically rooted in, self-healing. We're rooted in natural methods. We've been doing that since we got to this continent and long before we ever arrived on this continent. So it hits our soul and our spirit. It hits our ancestral memory. But there's a part of us that's gotten used to going to the doctor and getting the ointments and getting the medicines and getting the chemicals. What's the benefit of doing this method versus doing the pharmaceutical method?
Absolutely. Well, I believe everyone has a unique method that is unique for them. And some of that may be a bit of the pharmaceutical, a bit of the more holistic, natural. Some may be all pharmaceutical, some may, and so this is an individual person. I wouldn't want to prescribe someone to take something. But what I will say is that, speaking of what you said, even about us going back, one of the things that I did was, as I started studying this, I went into the ancient sites of different places, and one of them was the pyramids of Egypt. And I went with a group called the Resonant Science Group, and they studied how sound was used for healing back a long time ago by ancient societies. And they talk about how these Egyptians, and I'm sure many other cultures, had ways of healing and using sound that we've now abandoned for whatever reason, and that like you talk about, it's really deep within us. And you talk about like even to our heartbeat, like that's the first sign of life, and that's a rhythm, right? And it's just day and night circadian rhythm. So yes, it's all around us. And so if we can start to harness it and just use it intentionally, which is my main goal, is to get people to think about how can I use it intentionally versus just creating whatever. I think that we can start to get in the steps to be able to use music as a tool versus, like, one of the things I learned on the show was mantra. My friend, he was an ex-monk, and he talked about mantra. And that was what the monks do when they're repeating the sound over and over. And what I first thought that was just yelling. I honestly didn't know what that was. He told me that through the repetition of a specific frequency, they put themselves in a specific state of consciousness. So then I compared that to the music we make, rap music, hip hop music, very repetitive. And when you think about it, when you're saying it over and over, it's putting you in that specific state of consciousness. And so when I was just like, wow.
That's deep. I didn't even make that connection, man. I didn't even make that connection, brother. That's such a powerful one, man. That's why everybody needs to check out Psychedelic Frequency. It's not just that you give this incredible insight and these healing journeys, but you also give great music, playlists, recommendations. If you take us all over the place, man, you are an extraordinary brother, man. We appreciate you, everybody. It's called Psychedelic Frequency. Maejor, the recording artist, producer, and host from Audible's podcast, joined us today, and he wants you to join him on that podcast. So make sure you check it out. It's streaming on Audible, so make sure you go to Audible and check it out.